Bottle Rocket got top of the stack rating.
Is that the Wesley Anderson thing?
Yeah, Wes
Oh,
Anderson.
there we go. Wes Anderson.
Then spoiler alert, Triangle of Sadness coming to America, and Agatha Raisin Series 4 got the bottom of the stack.
Is that coming to America, the one with Eddie Murphy?
It is, but this is the second
a
one.
remake?
It's well,
So
yeah,
doesn't
I don't
that
know.
Eddie Murphy in it?
Yeah.
Arsenio Hall was actually pretty good in
Yeah.
it too with
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
But
I like that one, the
I know.
original. But okay.
And I know, and this one was all right too. It
Oh, okay.
had some funny bits, whatever. It was just
Coming to America. I remember the time.
whatever.
Mhm.
I just don't know that it really added to the original story at all. It's just it seemed like just another way for them to make money off of the original story. Putting some new, some younger people in it or whatever. I don't know. So, anyway.
Yeah.
And it's pretty tough to compete with some of these ones I have at the top. I mean, if you've watched our show before, you know I like Wes Anderson. And you know that I love the Wilson brothers. They're awesome. So,
They're even better together.
yeah, I don't know. They both are very different people. They do well in different roles. You couldn't have you couldn't have both of them playing the same role and get the same effect. So they're good on their own right, and they're different. But anyway, yeah, this story, I had never seen it before. It's from 1996, and I'd never even heard of it. I didn't know it existed, but it was great. It was I guess it was about criminals that they were not criminals. They were wannabe criminals, and they weren't successful at it. They wanted to be, I guess, burglars. But
You were laughing quite a bit during it.
They were very bad at it. And so one of them, the leader of the gang, I guess, the leader of the pack, he likes to plan things out, but his plans are incomplete, and they're not, he set like goals for them for like the first year, the first 5, 25, 75 years. He has plans of where they're going to be or whatever, but it's not, these plans are not realistic, they're not attainable, and anyway, it's pretty funny. And he's trying to impress a real burglar crime lord he wants him to accept them into his gang, because he used to do landscaping for them. That was their front company, right? The real burglar group. And so anyway, it ends up as, honestly, along the way, you're going to see what's going to happen. And it happens, and you're just like, oh yes, of course, but it's funny. There's they have it all. They have some comedy, some romance, and I don't know, it's great. So if you like Wes Anderson films, you will certainly like this one. And if you like the Owen brothers, the Wilson brothers, Owen and Luke. Sorry, I'm pretty tired. You will like this film too. So, spoiler alert, was, I guess it was based on a novel, but, best-selling memoir, so not really a novel. And, yeah, I can see why it was a bestseller, actually. It's a different kind of love story, where at the end, you know that the person is going to die, one of the people in the love story, and you feel for them, right? But honestly, in the story, like it says, based on the best-selling memoir, spoiler alert, the hero dies. I didn't see the... I mean, I can understand how the person writing it would think of their lover as the hero of the story. But honestly, I think the person writing it was the hero of the story. And he was played by the guy who plays Sheldon Cooper, and he did a great job. And I totally loved him. He was just like a sweet little boy who had some troubles in his childhood, and it was like it just happening all over again. And here he is, and he needs protection and love, and so I didn't feel that it was the hero that died. I thought that the other one was the hero. But whatever. I did like this. Even though it was a drama and whatever, I still liked it. And honestly, though, one thing that bothered me about this story, that made me like the fellow that died a little bit less, and maybe I shouldn't have, but it wasn't that he cheated on his spouse. Whatever, you know. They had some relationship problems, and they were still trying to work it out. Whatever, things happen, and but it was that when the man, he's diagnosed with cancer, he's getting... Hello, Blue Jay. Hi.
Hey there. Are you here for some food?
I put some more out.
Do you want some peanuts there?
Yeah, I put some more.
Go get some. Go for it, buddy.
So.
You hungry? He's hungry.
But it was that when the man is diagnosed with cancer, he's getting the treatment, which his lover is setting up all the appointments and stuff, and he's there with him. You know, he's really, he really cares for him. Like, you can see that he's a nurturing sort of fellow. And anyway, but the man with cancer, he's dying. He knows he's terminal, and if the treatments aren't working, whatever. And then he asks his lover to marry him. I mean, he cheated on him and stuff like that. And he was the studly one of the couple. You know, he was very handsome. And the man who writes the stories, he was a journalist for TV Guide or something like that. And he was very, you know, he was a geeky sort of guy, but he was wonderful. And it bothered me that the guy asked him to marry him only when he's dying. That bothered me because I have cared for people who are dying, and it's a lot of work. And for somebody to ask to take that responsibility on at that stage is, you know, and only say, oh yeah, you know, I want to be with you for the rest of my life, which is not very long, and it's going to suck for you, you know. It kind of took the romance out of it for me a bit. But apparently it didn't for the lovely Smurf lover of the two, the nerdy guy in the couple. So that's great. Whatever. It's a love story. Triangle of Sadness. This one is more interesting than I thought it would be. I'll say it. Master of social discomfort, Ruben Osland trains his unsparing lens on the world of wealth, beauty, and privilege in this blah, 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 blah. So, it's about, he starts out, there's a guy giving an interview he's interviewing these male models, fashion models. And and they're very handsome young men, and they take care of themselves. And the interviewer is saying, well, so your family, they wanted you to get into this industry where you make 1/3 of the income that women make, and you have to be fighting off gay fashion designers all the time or whatever. And but honestly, and then they show a couple. They're a model couple, right? They're both very attractive people in a fancy restaurant, and the bill is on the table, and the man gets out his credit card to pay, and the woman looks up from her texting. She doesn't even really care that she's at dinner with this young man, it seems, right? Because she's texting. But I guess that's how people are now.
People are incredible nowadays.
Anyway, so she looks up from her texting and says, "Oh, thank you, honey." So she notices him pull out the card, and he said, "I'm bothered by the fact that you expected me to pay," kind of thing, right? Like, you say thank you when I pull out the card, like what? And she's like, "Oh, well, you want to get out the calculator and figure out, pay half, or I'll pay half, whatever." And he said, "Yesterday when I paid, you said that today you'd get it," and so she's making a scene and whatever, and yeah, and all this. But then, and I used to think that way, like, strongly. I used to think like he did, that no, women should, this is a equal rights thing, and men should have rights to say, like, say with when somebody becomes pregnant, and the woman in the relationship, then the men should have the right to say, "No, I will not have responsibility for that child. No, financially, otherwise, you have the abortion then if you want to, but I'm not gonna take responsibility for that." And I thought, well, how could you do it? You could maybe have people sign like a prenuptial agreement, but for sex, like, I will not take care of if this happens. But then, over the years, I thought a little bit differently. And now that I'm older, I kind of understand these weird social things that we have in existence and have been in existence for years. The whole part of, the dinner or whatever being provided, and then the man pays for the dinner. It's like you go on a date, and traditionally the man pays for the meal, because it's showing, look, I can pay to take care of you and your child if I happen to get you pregnant, right? It's just this kind of thing. And honestly, I was thinking about the scene at the beginning with the fashion interview, and thinking, well, how much money do they make off men with fashion? It's all geared toward the women's clothing and selling clothing to, how much, really? You don't think of fashion, like supermodels, you don't think of men. And when you think of, like, if you go to a secondhand clothing store, if you're a man, you're having a tough time finding clothing, because it's just not there. Men, that's not big for them, for most of them. Some men are really into fashion, but not a lot. So I was thinking, well, how much could you really expect to make if you're a male fashion model compared to if you're a female? Like, there's just so much more. Your market is so much huger for female, for women's clothing. Anyway, so I was thinking about that. So it may very well be true that they make less money, but I would expect that they would make less money, because they just wouldn't have the number of photo shoots, the number of jobs, they wouldn't be there for them, as much as all of these young men in the room that were being interviewed, they were very handsome young men, and I'm sure they were very good at their job. But anyway, Anyway.
Do you think if they get paid less, they should actually get paid the equal with the women doing model?
I don't know how it should work out for them. I understand that they would be paid less if there's less demand for it. So, but I don't see why. Honestly, some of the women that are supermodels, I can't see why drag queens couldn't do the job. So, I don't know if it's necessary for male models to wear the male clothes exclusively. Why not the female clothing too, right? So, I don't know. If they can get the jobs doing the women's clothing modeling as well, then they would make more money. And I can't see why they wouldn't be able to do that. But
well, I mean, there'd be maybe for most of them a different cut, bigger shoulders and stuff like that. Look like
sure.
Look like.
But that could open it up for women with a different build too. Women that have a less feminine build could maybe model men's clothing too. I don't know why, in this day and age, why it has to be divided like that, really.
Yeah, but Kate Blanchett almost looked like Bob Dylan.
Yeah,
when she was
exactly
playing that one role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the reason why I ask. It's a big issue in sports right now. Particularly the Canadian soccer. Women's soccer team were kind of going on strike or something like that last year, and they wanted equal pay with the men.
And they shouldn't have it. If there isn't as much demand for, I mean, these things are not essential. They're really not work.
Neither of them are essential.
Yeah. They're playing, sort of thing. One's playing dress up, the other one's
that's exactly right.
And the other one is playing sports, and that's it's great that they're able to make money playing. If all the power to you if you can. But
well, it's okay. I mean, I don't have.
You're making more money doing that than James did scrubbing toilets. So what are you complaining about? Honestly, that's work.
That's the women. The men in basketball. So, what was it? They're talking about a guy making $40 million a year in one of the sports.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay him a penny, but what the heck? Yeah. That's the weird thing about the women wanting to go on strike. I'm saying, I
don't know. I mean, it may be that the women are very talented, and for some reason they're not getting proper promotion or something like that. And in that case, promote the women more. They will make more money. If the audience wants to see them, then certainly their cut of it. Once the money is coming in, they will get more money doing what they do.
I don't know if promotion really has much to do with it. If you cut out promotion of hockey, guys would just be still watching in droves. You don't have to advertise NHL hockey.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do for them, but I really don't have any sympathy because it's not work, it's play. So
play.
You get money for playing, lucky you. Very nice. Any
little bit helps. I mean, I'm should.
Not saying you shouldn't get money for playing. People are willing to pay it, I guess you do, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the only reason why. Otherwise, like if it were up to me, if everyone were as sensible as me and Pauline too, they'd get no money at all.
Yeah.
They'd have to do that in their spare time.
Exactly.
That's the way it really should be.
Yeah, but I mean, people are paying for it, so you get money for playing. Lucky you. But it's not work; it's play. Anyway.
And like when it is something like that, I actually believe it should be funded by demand.
Yeah.
The supply and demand.
Yeah. And
I don't.
That's how it is here.
Male models. I think it's consistent. Or women soccer players. Women. I think by times women tennis has been more of a feature. Maybe that's because we've got women watching and stuff like that. has been more of a draw than men's tennis, you know, and I don't know if they made more money and stuff like that. Venus Williams is, not Venus, the other one, Serena Williams, a multi-millionaire. I don't know. I think that sort of stuff should just be based on demand. If people want to see you, same sort of thing with music, you know. Eventually you get people, hey, you know, like, we want equal rights, you know, classical people. We want to get paid equally with hip-hop artists and stuff like that.
But,
Get off of it.
I mean, now that I'm older, when I was a teenager, I was totally, yeah, men should have more, I guess, reproductive rights than they do. And I didn't think that women getting pregnant should be able to hook their claws into a man and whatever. But then, you know, when I was a teenager, I was on the birth control pill. And since I was a teenager, I was not on it very well. I would miss pills, and I'd tell my boyfriend and that he had to use condoms for the rest. And he was not good at using condoms any more than I was good at using the birth control pill. And anyway, I ended up pregnant. I had an abortion. That one worked out fine. And as much as I was bothered by it, I didn't want to tell people that I was, you know, because I'd started collecting baby clothes and stuff and was hiding them in my closet. And so it really bothered me. But anyway, a few months later, there I was, pregnant again. And so I went in for an abortion. They got me to sign a sheet sometimes. I hadn't had to sign one the time before, but I had to sign a sheet, and it was probably something to do with, you know, telling me about the risks and all, and if I had problems, then I wouldn't sue or whatever. I don't know, right? And so I had to sign a sheet. And that one, so I told my boyfriend, I said, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to do it again. So either you figure out, because he'd said he wanted to get a vasectomy for his 18th birthday, and he didn't get one. And the doctors wouldn't let him have one. He went to the doctor, and they said, you might change your mind, you know, so.
Once he turned 18?
Yeah. Yeah,
he was an adult.
Exactly. And the doctor said, well, you might change your mind, so I'm not going to give it to you. You wait a few years and see. And so that's great for him. So I told him, you got to find somebody to give you a vasectomy, or, you know, figure out some other way, because if I get pregnant again, I'm not going to have an abortion again. Well, as it turned out, that didn't matter, because I never got pregnant again, even though I was very fertile before then, though I don't know what was done to me. But I certainly feel differently now than I did then. So if you want to have sex when you're a young man and with other people, and you don't want to follow the traditional thing, showing, oh, I can pay for the child if you become pregnant, whatever, because that's what you're doing when you're buying the dinner, when you're doing whatever, that's what you're showing. You're showing that I'll be there financially, so don't worry about it if we are intimate. But if you don't feel that way, go sleep with men. Or, you know,
sleep with yourself.
Sleep with yourself. You don't have to go sleep with women and impregnate them. There are other options. So I certainly feel differently now. Now that I am postmenopausal and childless, I feel differently. So it's worth watching. It's definitely worth watching, but I disagree. Coming to
So
America.
let me just talk to the guys out there a little bit. You know more.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you guys out there who father kids and then don't come across with the money, you really should be responsible helping raise a kid. But if you F off You don't come across with money. It makes you a stud, makes you a pud, idiots. I'm talking to you, Mick Jagger. I'm talking to you, Rod Stewart, and all you dorks. Like them. Enough said.
So, I love Eddie Murphy. I didn't love this movie so much. It was okay. I mean, they're trying to say, look, you know, Eddie Murphy's character, I can't remember who he was, but he becomes king, and they're trying to say, look, you wanted to go to America and fall in love and not have an arranged marriage, and you wanted to change things in your society in Africa, and you are not, and things aren't changing enough. You aren't doing a good enough job of changing things, and, you know, get to it kind of thing. So, whatever. But it felt long. I don't know how long it actually was. 108 minutes. So not really that long, but it felt long.
It is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, he looks
Oh,
good.
he is in it. So
Yeah,
at
of
least
course.
he's in it.
Oh, yeah.
No,
He's in it in,
Hollywood.
well, maybe I shouldn't give it away, but, well, he's in it in many roles. So it's funny, right? So anyway, if he wouldn't have been in it, it wouldn't have been worth watching, but because he's in it, he's awesome. So
He's maybe the best I've ever seen.
Oh, he's
at
so
comedy.
good. Yeah. So, Agatha Raisin Series 4. This one was bad. So bad. Not worth watching. It's like a total aggressive propagandist production. And they're trying to do a comedy mixed with murder mystery sort of thing. And really the funniest thing about this show are Agatha Raisin's wardrobe selections that she shows off in this. They're awful. I mean, it's like watching Absolutely Fabulous.
It reminded me a bit of it.
Her clothes are terrible. But anyway, there's
I kind of like this one.
Okay.
I gotta say. But,
in Agatha Raisin Series 4, Episode 2, Love, Lies, and Liquor, there was a great example for me to try to teach you, or for us to try to teach you a little bit about rhythm in poetry and, well, in language. So a lot of times when you're hearing people protest, so there were protesters in this episode, and a lot of the time you hear protest chants, and they're so bad, and that's because aggressive propagandists, although they are thought to be good poets and stuff like that, they actually aren't. They tend to not be. I'm not saying all of them, but aggressive propagandists tend to be poetry hacks, not poets. And anyway, so they said, "We don't want your casino." Yeah.
that's what they
And the rhythm is so wrong. What should it be? "We don't want your casino," or "We don't want your casino."
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah. But you can see that you could possibly get away with the first one, not the one they gave. But the last one would be the better one, right? Can you hear that? I mean, you should be able to tell that "We don't want your casino." You should be able to hear that's wrong.
Well, he
Why is it
basically,
wrong? Because it's not casino, it's casino. It's casino. The C is the strong accent in that. And when you look at rhythm in language, it actually, the stuff at the